Okay, I think we're rolling. What is up, you guys, and welcome to the Hot Leather Pants podcast. After much trial and error over the past 3 weeks, I'm finally able to do this, and I can't say I couldn't be more excited to have you guys here. I hope you guys enjoy this. I figured, well, one of my friends was like, you should add a backdrop, and I was like, they're already here, so welcome. There's many more, but we're gonna be hanging out with Angus Young and Guns N' Roses and AC/DC. So yeah. Anyways, welcome to the show. My name is Caitlin. I'll be your host, and this podcast is gonna be all about music, mainly rock and roll history, myths and stories, legends of different bands. My favorite types of music, album reviews, new music that I'm discovering that may not be new for you, but they're definitely new for me, or old stuff that I forgot about and now I'm listening to again. It's going to be a whole array of things. I'll have guests on the show eventually. And yeah, so a little bit about me. I've grown up listening to classic rock my whole life, pretty much. The first song that I can remember listening to with my dad was Little Red Corvette by Prince. And little me back then didn't know I'd become so fond of all this music now. And my mom was still is actually, a huge Zeppelin fan. My dad recently, a few years ago, got all of the remastered Zeppelin vinyl albums, found all of them, and gave them to her for Christmas. So, yeah, we love rock and roll in this household. That's what we do. So, anyways, I have a pretty big background in music. When I was probably around 3 years old, my mom started teaching me piano, 3 or 4. So I've been reading music for quite some time now. When I was 9 years old, I decided I wanted to play the clarinet because I heard some other girl play it at my church, and I was like, that's what I want to do. Let's get into it. So I studied clarinet from the age of 9 up until around 21. Now I'm doing a volunteer orchestra and playing clarinet in that, but that's the most I've done in the past few years. Um, and then when I was 12, I taught myself how to play chords on guitar, and now I'm taking lessons. And I'm sure he's watching this, so thank you for being one of my biggest inspirations in life, and for just being cool and teaching me new music and having a good time, laughing at my stupid jokes and the faces that I make when I mess up. So yeah, that's a little bit about that. As far as listening to music goes, I have been listening to music my whole life. I can't imagine a day where I haven't listened to music, and if I do go a day without listening to music, I wonder if I'm actually okay. Yeah, music's one of the biggest parts of my life. I can't imagine living a life without it. I mean, life would be exhausting and boring without music, you know what I'm saying? It's one of my biggest outlets, one of the ways that I express myself the best, keeps me going throughout the day. So yeah, so this podcast, you're probably wondering, why on earth is this called Hot Leather Pants? If my boys over here aren't a perfect example of that, or if you don't listen to any classic rock, 80s metal, 80s rock, anything like that. Yeah, so when I had started this idea of creating a podcast just to talk about music and everything, I asked my mom, I was like, what should this be called? And she was like, why don't you call it My Hot New Pants? And I was like, how does that work? And so I guess it came from this show that her and my dad were watching at the time. And I was like, well, they wear leather pants. That's rock and roll, baby. And she was like, yeah, so what about hot leather pants? And I was like, the fact that that's so fitting and just so perfect. For any of you that don't know me, you're going to get to know me, but it's pretty perfect and fitting for who I am as a person and what I like to talk about and what I like to listen to. So that is the origin story of hot leather pants. So yeah, this is just gonna be an introduction podcast. If you guys hang out for the whole time, that's great. Get some water, get a snack, it's 3:30 in the afternoon right now, but if it's 5 o'clock, get yourself a margarita or something and enjoy it. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to get on here and talk about my background, why I'm starting the podcast, what I'm gonna do with it, what I hope to do with it in the future, and yeah, just things like that. My favorite types of music, just so you guys can kind of get a feel of who I am and why I'm doing this, and give myself some credibility other than the posters hanging up in my wall. I'm not just a fan. I'm not a fake fan. I actually do really listen to this music and I really do study it. Recently, I just finished a couple books on. Well, I just finished an autobiography written by Joe Perry. It's called Rocks. If any of you have read it, it's you can probably agree with me that it's a great, 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 great book. It's just about like his perspective on playing with Aerosmith and his times with the band and what he did on his own. He has his own band called the Joe Perry Project that is actually going on tour this year. And great book, excellent read if you know nothing about Aerosmith. I highly recommend reading it. Another good book that I just finished, actually phenomenal, epic book that I just finished, is Hammer of the Gods. I don't remember the author, but just type in Hammer of the Gods Led Zeppelin saga and it'll come right up. That book was, it's like I lived a different life while reading that book, honestly. One of my favorite books, and it's just so good. Like, there's so many different stories about Zeppelin, and they were only together for 7 years, and it's insane the amount of work that they did and the amount of breakthrough they made in the industry at the time. They were pretty controversial when they first came into the music industry, and now, well, now I mean, like, they're just like legendary, you know what I mean? And yeah, definitely read that if you know nothing about Zeppelin either. There's a few stories that I wanted to get into from that book, and I could talk about Aerosmith as well, honestly. It's pretty open right now. I don't have a full schedule of what I'm going to post, and maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing. I mean, it's a podcast about music. I could talk about essentially anything. So, yeah. Um, I don't just listen to the music, I study it, and that just kind of comes from when I was studying music in college too. Like I did a lot of music theory. I took the 4 classes that were required for that, and I passed with flying colors. Um, and yeah, yes, yes, yes. I'm getting carried away. I'm starting to overthink because that's what I do. Ah. Anyways, back on topic. So, growing up listening to this kind of music, like I said, when I don't even remember how old, but I was probably 4 or 5 when my dad was playing Prince, and he has, well, I pretty much I didn't take them from him, but I'm still borrowing his vinyl records. They're in my room right next to me. Uh, so yeah, that I'll get into that in a second. So growing up, I had that. That's one of my first memories, and then probably when I was around 5 or 6, my mom had this ABBA CD. I think it was ABBA's Greatest Hits. It was one of my favorite CDs. If I was able to pick the music that we listened to, it was that. Or Andrea Bocelli. I listened to Andrea Bocelli and I learned Italian. I learned, well, how to sing in Italian. I didn't know anything of what I was saying, but anyways, yeah, so ABBA, I knew all the songs on the album eventually, and I would like to dub myself the dancing queen in this house. So yeah, there was that. And then going into like middle school and stuff. So when my brothers and I were younger, we were homeschooled, and my mom would take us to the library once a week, and it was my favorite day of the week because I would get 5 new CDs that I would download to iTunes and upload to my little iPod Nano. And well, I guess my iPod Touch when I was in middle school. But anyways, so Apple, don't hate me for this. I'm sorry. So I would get new CDs all the time, and I remember The first few CDs that I got, there was like an Aerosmith's Greatest Hits. It's the red one with their logo like on the left side of the album. And then I think I don't know if these were all during the same time, but these are like the first three that I really really remember. I got like a Def Leppard's Greatest Hits, and then I got Black Sabbath's first album, Black Sabbath. And I mainly got that one because I'd asked my mom, I was like, can I listen to them? And she was like, why do you want to listen to Black Sabbath? I was like, because it's rock and roll, man. Like, why not? And she was like, I guess if you really want to listen to it. And I was like, watch me. I'm going to do it anyways. So I did. I did. Unfortunately, Black Sabbath wasn't under my taste at that point. I kind of was like, yeah, I could get into it, but not really. And then Aerosmith, when I was growing up, we had a babysitter, and she would bring over the Aerosmith Guitar Hero game. And if none of you have played that, I don't know why, but that game was like epic growing up for me. Every time we knew that she was coming over and my parents were going out, I'd be like, can you make sure she brings Aerosmith Guitar Hero? And that's what I did the whole night that she was here. We'd play Aerosmith Guitar Hero, jam out, and then we'd play Mario Kart. It was a good time. So that's where my taste in Aerosmith came from. And so, yeah, like I would get CDs at the library and I'd listen to all of them. And that's kind of where it all started with me growing my rock and roll collection. That is a lot of songs now on my current playlist. Um, so then going into that whole like Def Leppard phase, I went through a heavy Def Leppard phase. I went through and I had Pandora, so I was probably in high school at this time, and I put on the Def Leppard radio, and that's when I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Because Van Halen played, Van Hagar was on that station, um, Van Halen. Oh, excuse me. Van Halen and Van Hagar, it's the same band, just different singers. So, like, in 1985, David Lee Roth left Van Halen, and then Sammy Hagar came in, and they came out with 5150, which is one of my favorite albums to this day, and you might hate, a lot of you might hate me for that, but it's one of my favorite albums, and I stand by that, and I live by that, and I won't ever go back on that. So yeah, I started listening to, all like the cheesy ballads and all that stuff, like Poison and uh, Danger Danger, and well, Purple Rain is considered one of those, Prince, and Survivor. Oh yeah, Survivor, heavy on the Survivor, for real. And then God, who else? I'm trying to think. There's just so many. Went into Guns N' Roses ballads, and then I learned to appreciate them somewhat a little more later on in life. The Joshua Tree by U2, that was always playing in my ears. I love that album. With or Without You, my emotional 15-year-old self could not live without that song. So that's another one. um I'm just looking at my posters just to make sure I don't miss anything. But yeah, I kind of started there with all of the love ballads and the baby I love you and I can't live without you. I couldn't live without that music. I thought I was going to die if I didn't listen to that music. So, yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And then from there, it just kind of progressed. My older brother, listened to a lot of heavy metal. So, like Five Finger Death Punch, Avenged Sevenfold, all that stuff. Probably starting when I was like 13. So I was listening to all that kind of music just because he was. I was like, I want to listen to what he's listening to. Get me into it. So we did. And I kind of just, overall, I've listened to everything growing up. I had a big G-Eazy kick when I was 15. Like, huge. I loved G-Eazy when I was in high school. I still do. Just not, I'm not as big of a fan anymore. I still think his music is good. It never gets old. A little bit. But anyways, yeah, so growing into all of that, my music taste has just progressed. Like when I say I listen to anything, I listen to anything. I could get down to Tchaikovsky, I could get down to Brantley Gilbert. I could get down to G-Eazy. I can get down to Avril Lavigne. I can get down to Nicki Minaj, Luke Combs, AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, all of it. But my main favorite genre is anything within rock, and that's including subgenres. I recently discovered Lorna Shore, I think about a year ago, and that kind of blew my mind because I never liked music like that before until I heard the instrumental stuff, which is really what like took me by surprise. I was like, my gosh, like these guys are actually really, really, really amazing. So yeah, I love them. Their new album, definitely look into it. It is a concept album. Um, and actually, sidetracking off of that for a second, I know on my social media, as I said, I was doing a concept album episode. And me and my friend have been trying to record it. It's just been really difficult because we aren't recording it in person. And I need to just have him come over and record it because it'd be 10 times easier than trying to do it on FaceTime. Like, what happened was we recorded a 2.5 hour episode on FaceTime. And I thought I had it made. I was like, yeah, this is recording audio, this is recording video, everything, this is perfect. It didn't record any of the audio, only recorded the video, and I was left with us just talking. And I was so frustrated, so I was like, okay, maybe this isn't going to work out for me. But then other people put me onto some new software, we're chilling. This is working out good so far. I can't say that it's going to be perfect, but I can hope that this is going to be just fine. So, especially for the time being, I don't have any crazy equipment or anything. I'm borrowing my mom's microphone. This is a gaming headset that my brother got me. I have 2 different computers that I'm trying to do this on. I'm just using one right now. Excuse me. I had Chick-fil-A for lunch. Anyways. So yes, the concept albums, that is going to happen 100%. There's no way I'm going to get through any of this podcast without doing that. So, yeah, it's all in time right now. We're still trying to figure out our schedules. We have opposing schedules, and just getting him to do it in person, I just need to have him over. But yeah, so there's all that stuff. So now what I'm doing, and like kind of, I don't know if I didn't really finish my music thing. I'm sidetracking. I do that a lot, just a heads up. I'll try not to, but I do go off on tangents every once in a while. Okay, so yeah, my music taste. Like I said, I just discovered Lorna Shore about a year ago, and that was just a recommendation from a friend because I was going through a lot mentally last year, and I was hitting the gym a lot, and I like rediscovered all my old angsty, like sad heavy rock music and like metal music that I used to listen to in middle school and high school. And my friend was like, yo, have you listened to Lorna Shore? And I was like, no. And he sent me To the Hellfire, their song on their EP. And I lost my mind. I was like, no way. So that, for a while, that was my leg day warm-up song to get me all hyped up for the gym. And it just got me through dealing with all the demons because, like I said, I was going through a rough patch mentally last year when I discovered them. And then their new album just came out, Pain Remains, and instrumentally, phenomenal. Vocally, I don't understand a thing he's saying, but it's still very good. And I really enjoy it. And I had no idea it was a concept album until I was looking into concept albums. And I was reading the liner notes on Apple Music, and I was like, no freaking way. So that's going to be an album that we talk about with the concept albums. And that's going to be a few episodes, obviously. It's not going to be just one. There's 1.5 million concept albums out there. And if you guys have any ideas, definitely leave a comment down below. If you like know me personally, definitely message me. Or are you following me on social media, definitely message me. And we'll get that going for sure. I'll write it down and listen to the music, do a review, and then like write about, or, tell you guys what the concept is. So yeah, anyways, music taste. We're like going back and forth here. So yeah, I listen to a lot of rock and roll. That's just me. So yeah. Um, Currently, I am a student. I'm studying digital marketing and social media. And that's also one of the reasons I started this podcast, because once I get that degree, I want to start marketing within the music industry. And I have a friend who's a local artist here. I like know people from college that are doing like band stuff now, and they play all the time. And so yeah, my favorite record store that I frequent here is the I told he had the guy that runs the shop had asked me if I was a student so I could get the 15% discount. I was like, yeah, and he asked me what I was studying, and I told him digital marketing and social media, and he said, well, maybe eventually you can market this business. And I was like, say less, because that'd be, marketing for a record store, that'd be awesome. And marketing within the music industry, just in general, would be a dream come true. Almost Famous, if you haven't watched the movie, it's inspired by Cameron Crowe's tour. I think it was 1975, or no, excuse me, 1973, I think. I don't know. He toured with Zeppelin for a year, and so it's based off of that year that he toured with them, because he was writing a piece for Rolling Stone magazine. And so, yeah, that's kind of like one of my inspirations with this movie. I mean, that kid was 15 when he toured with them, and I'm like, why can't I market within the music industry once I get this degree? Like, there's no way I wouldn't be able to. And so part of the reason why I created this podcast was so I could get my voice out there, get my face out there, talk about something that I'm truly, truly passionate about and something that I truly love, because it gives credibility. And, it's like, hey, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm willing to look into more things and do more research and talk about it. So yeah, that's kind of why. It's one of the reasons why. Other than just talking about music, I mean, it's kind of a big outlet for me. Kind of, it's a huge outlet for me, and I don't have a lot of friends with the same music taste as me. So it's, just to come on here and ramble for a bit about what I'm listening to, what I'm wanting to listen to, getting recommendations, stuff like that, and just getting my presence out there for, future employees to see, or employers, or anybody within the music industry that's like, hey, this chick's cool, let's try to get her to market us. Anyways, that's like the long story of what I'm doing here, and I'm just really passionate about it, and it's something fun to talk about. So yeah. um for the future of this podcast, like I said, concept albums is going to be a big part of it. Talking about new music that I've discovered, new album reviews. I want to look at the charts once a week and talk about that as well, because I think it's really interesting. They change all the time, and they've kind of been looking the same for a little bit now. SZA's up there. She's been up there for a minute since she came out with that new album. But yeah, just like looking at the charts, kind of comparing it to the week before or whatever, and new music that I've discovered that might not be new for you guys, but new to me. And you'll see me light up and be like, oh my gosh, can't believe I never heard of them before. And you guys will probably be like, oh, yeah, we've known about them for forever. And I'll be like, okay, cool, but I'm still going to talk about it. Album reviews, top 10 classic rock albums that I love, or music news, like who's releasing stuff now, who's touring right now, who's coming where. And I'll get guests on here to talk about, like I said, I have a friend in the music industry, get them to talk about why they joined the music industry and their experience with it so far and what they're doing in the future. Yeah, just kind of everything. Stories, like I said, Led Zeppelin was crazy, and their stories are definitely one to be talked about. Some of them aren't all true, so that's what I was going to get into with all of that. Just everything. That's kind of this whole thing, is just talking about music and sitting down with you guys chilling out, you know, having a good time. So, yeah. I'm trying to. Okay, anyway. So, alright. So, I just started listening to Ghost. And that could be very surprising to some of you. I've known about them for a while. People have been like, have you listened to Ghost? No? Okay, well, you should. Sure, I'll get right on that. My life is so busy, I totally forget about things like that all the time. And so, yeah, on my Apple Music, I have like different playlists for rock and roll. Like, I have like an angsty daydreaming one that like takes me back to when I was 15, 16 years old. And like, you know how you are when you're 16. You just daydream about everything. So or maybe that was just me. I don't know. I have no idea. But I have like that playlist, and it's like Blink 182 stuff that like takes me back in time or takes me to like a different. I don't know. Like I picture myself in a different area or doing something else. You know what I mean? Like. So there's that one. I have another one called Take Me Back in Time, and it's a picture of Sammy Hagar playing guitar from the Love Walks In live music video from like 1986 or 87. And that one is like all my classic rock stuff. I think there's some 90s on there, but for the most part it's like 60s through 80s. And, you know, there's Aerosmith, Fleetwood Mac, U2, Led Zeppelin, Guns N' Roses. Um, Yes is on there. Like pick a band, you name it. Journey's on there. REO Speedwagon, Van Halen. I don't know if I said them already. Angus Young, AC/DC. Yeah, same thing. Guns N' Roses, Prince, so on and so forth. I think I have some Eagles on there. Def Leppard, of course. The Cure. So it's just kind of like not all rock and roll. Like, because, you know, The Cure, it's like, I think they're considered punk or alternative. They were punk at the time, I'm pretty sure. Um, and then I have this other one that's called Rock and Roll Baby with like a million Y's. And it's all of those combined with like other Apple Music playlists on it. And so I have like the Apple Music Metal Vault playlist saved to my library. And because I'm trying to listen to more metal, it's been really fun. I've been exploring metal genres, and it's been a blast. And so through that, I added that to this rock and roll playlist. I've added maybe like I think maybe they're alternative playlists. I'm not too sure. But anyways, it's like 4,000 songs long. And so I just was on my way home one night. This is back to Ghost, by the way, in case you lost track of what I was talking about. I was driving home from work a couple weeks ago, and this song came on, and it was Call Me Little Sunshine. And I skip so many songs in my car, so I wasn't paying attention. And I was like in autopilot, and I was like, nah, skip it. We'll go to a different one. And then my brain was like, it took like 6 seconds to process what I had just heard. And I was like, no, go back. What is that? And so I listened to it, and I was like, who is this? I've known about this band. Like, I remember, like, screaming in my car. I was like, this is Ghost? No freaking way. Like, how have I not listened to them before? They're right up my alley. I mean, they sound just like 80s metal. They're perfect. I love them. And so I lost my mind. I was like, there's no way. Like, this is the band that everybody's, like, suggested to me, and I just never listened to them. What have I done to myself? And I think I listened to that song on repeat the whole way home. So yeah, Call Me Little Sunshine. And I remember telling my parents about it. I was like, listen to this. This is amazing. And my mom was like, they sound like they're in the 80s. And I'm like, this album came out last year. It's Impera. And they were like, no way. I was like, dude, it's sick. It's sick. So that's been like my favorite discovery. I love Ghost. I can't believe I haven't listened to them until now. Like, changed my life. I felt like a different person after hearing that song. I feel like a different person after knowing their music. So yeah. Another song that I have never been the same after uh, is Inhumane Harvest by Cannibal Corpse. If you guys are like metal heads, and you listen to Cannibal Corpse, you know what I'm talking about. I heard that song in the car, and I wasn't a huge fan of the beginning, but I was like, this sounds kind of dope. Let's give it a minute. And then like halfway through the song, when that sick breakdown happens, I was like, because it's like just the heavy riffs. I was like, no way! Like, it's been good. My music discoveries recently, like I said, they may not be new to you guys, but like new to me, have been insane, and my brain function is just like altered a little bit, you know. So yeah, that was another one. Um, what else? Another song that I remember hearing for the first time, two actually, because it happened in the same drive on my way to school a few years ago. Electric Eye by Judas Priest. And I never listened to that album that it's on. I can't name the album right off the top of my head. It's the red one with, I think it's like a hawk or a falcon or something. And recently my dad was like, have you heard like the intro to the song? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, the song that plays before it in the album is like an instrumental introduction to the song. And I was like, you're lying. So he plays it for me, and I repeated the song 3 times just because like the ending of it that goes right into Electric Eye, I was just like, this is too good. This is a musical genius masterpiece. This is too good. Like, why don't we have more of this? So like when I listened to Electric Eye for the first time, like I said, I was driving to school. I think it was my freshman year of college, and then after that came on. Oh come on, what is it? It's Megadeth. It's the same album as Symphony of Destruction. What is that song? It's one of my favorites. Okay, hold on. Just so y'all know, my brain draws a blank like every other minute, and I forget a lot of stuff easily, and then it comes back to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that was. So I apologize, and it's gonna hit me right now. Where the hell is it? No. No way. Where? Am I stupid? Yeah, the answer is yes, Caitlin. A little bit Sweating Bullets. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Okay, so Sweating Bullets. I was a little freaked out. This was before my taste in metal developed, okay? This was when I was first like, okay, yeah, this sounds cool, but I'm not gonna listen to this forever. Um, so, like, at first it freaked me out, and then Dave Mustaine's solo, I was like, this is my life will never be the same after hearing this. Like, these are moments in time where I wish I could just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. Just like input a disk drive in my brain, pull those moments out so I can relive them over and over and over again. Because, you know, the serotonin and dopamine, they were at an all-time high when I heard these songs for the first time. Um, yeah. Just like To the Hellfire, my life was never the same after listening to that. I tell you. I tell you. It was too good. So yeah, I hope that gives you guys like a little bit of a background about me and what I plan to do with this. Like I said, it's all still in the works a little bit, but I figured I'd get out here and record and just like show you guys my face, give you my voice, My friend said I have a radio voice, so shout out to you. Um, yeah, this is just something, it's just a little project right now, and hopefully it becomes something bigger. For the time being, we're just hanging out, just talking, and having a good time. So, yeah, let me know of any ideas that you have for podcast episodes. I had done a poll on Facebook. Well, I did two. Excuse me again. I'm sorry. Like I said, I had Chick-fil-A for lunch. So polls. I did one asking, just like friends basically, if a concept album sounded like a good idea, and everybody raved over it. It's coming, I promise. Just give me some time to figure all of the technology stuff out. I am not tech savvy at all. Like, I'm getting a degree in digital marketing and social media. I should know what I'm doing when it comes to recording software, video, audio, all that good stuff. I'm still learning. So bear with me during the whole process. The other poll that I did was about another episode to do. So like I put concept albums part 2. That was when I thought I had it made with that screen recording that didn't come out good. So like concept albums, I'll literally drag him over here to do that, because I could talk about it myself, but this is also kind of like a social thing, you know, gets talking with other people, you feel me? So yes, that concept albums, album reviews, y'all could leave me a list, or you know, each of you could put in one comment and I'll listen to the album and I'll review it for you. Simple as that. My like top 10 classic rock, my top 10 metal albums, songs, it could be anything, but those could be like the next, like 3 ideas for the next episode. Just drop it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you want to. And go ahead and follow me on social media. It is Hot Leather Pants Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Twitter, I think the handle is Hot Leather Pant Pod, because Hot Leather Pants Podcast was too long. On Instagram, I'm pretty sure it should just be Hot Leather Pants Podcast. I don't see why it would be anything different. Yeah, Instagram, it's Hot Leather Pants Podcast. No caps, no spaces, no underscores, no special characters. Hot Leather Pants Podcast. Go ahead and give us a follow. Us, it's literally me. Me and my guests. And then on Facebook, it is also Hot Leather Pants Podcast. Go ahead and give the page a like. I will do a poll for the next episode. There's already some up, so I mean, you guys could go ahead and vote on those if you want to. And yeah, there'll definitely be more coming from all of this once I get more organized and get more people to talk. I think it'd be a good time. And yeah, just like kind of what you guys want to hear, what you want to hear me talk about. I have a million new music discoveries that I can make a list of, because I always forget. I listen to music every single day of my life, so it's kind of hard to keep it all in one area. So yeah, welcome everybody, and come hang out with me next week. We'll do something else, and yeah, share this with your friends and your family if they're interested in listening about music or my opinions on music. So yeah, thanks for listening to this. If you hung out for the whole time, especially thank you. If you skipped through, thank you. Even if you checked in for 5 seconds, thank you. And I will talk to you guys next week about something new and something very cool. See y'all later. Don't forget me. It's Caitlin. And yeah, thanks for listening to Hot Leather Pants Podcast. Bye.